Hey, welcome back to the Morning Bell. Raj, you always give me the good bits, isn't it?
Obviously, and you always enjoy it, right?
Yeah, and joining us this morning, we have Owen Fitzpatrick, which is the international trainer and author of The Charismatic Age. Oh, such a good-looking man, huh?
Thank you very much.
Before we start off with, you think I got charisma already?
I think you've got natural charisma. It just oozes out of every single pore,
Raj,
which compensates quite. I mean, yeah.
Compensates, yeah. We will talk about that later, about compensation.
Okay. All right. So, Owen, would you share with us a bit about your background, please?
Sure, I'm a psychologist, and I spent my. Don't worry, I'm not going to analyze you straight away. I've already analysed you, but I'm not going to tell you my conclusions. Yeah.
Okay,
so don't worry about it. It'll stay in here. I'm a psychologist. I've worked for the last, 15 years or so, working with different people. I started off, I've done some psychotherapy for a few years. I got into this background very early on. When I was in my teens, I was quite depressed as a child, actually, as a teenager. And I was going through school, I was suffering from depression, I was suicidal for a while. And that kind of got me interested, obviously, in psychology, how to change your mind, how to change your attitude, how to change the way you think and feel and communicate. And so charisma is something that I got really interested very early on, because I always wanted to know not just how do you become happier, but how do you communicate better with people? How do you get on? How do you become more popular? And so for years, that drove an obsession for me to learn everything I could about developing myself, about improving the quality of the way I was thinking, my attitude, the way I communicated. And that also got me into a field called NLP, or Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is basically changing the way you think and communicate to improve the quality of your life. And so I started doing a lot of work with Dr. Richard Bandler, who's the creator of
the
that,
father,
the co-creator,
right?
Exactly. And one of the things that I got the opportunity to do was actually write some books with him. And from there, I got the opportunity to travel around the world and teach training courses in many different countries. And I suppose that's what I do today. It's going around sharing with people. And a lot of people have misconceptions about NLP, or misconceptions of even about charisma. This idea that NLP is bad, or NLP doesn't work, or NLP makes
manipulation,
and makes
negative influence, that kind of coercion.
Exactly. And they make all these outlandish claims as well. For me, one of the things I got from working with, as we said, the father of NLP is that it's a lot more practical than a lot of the things out there, and it's a lot more realistic and easier to apply. And I come from a country which is similar to Malaysia. We're not like, over the top American where we're be positive all the time.
Cheering.
See, this is that one thing I've always asked whenever we have like life coach, motivational coach, and people are like, how do you people just stay so motivated every day?
Positive,
like positive every day.
I'm not positive every day. Not at all.
But it's positive today, now that you
I'm positive.
Like totally, right?
Of course. Just like the highlight of
I was the most depressing person ever this morning, and once you step into a room, wow, I see lights already.
Doesn't take much. Right, now you mentioned that you actually wrote books as well. Huh?
Yeah.
When was the urge or desire to actually put pen to paper? Because writing books is no mean feat, no easy feat actually.
Well, what I found was from the start, I suppose training or teaching people is great. The opportunity to share the same thing that changed my life or made a difference to me. Yeah. A lot of the times when I work in companies, it's about helping the companies to be able to improve. And there's only a certain amount of people that you can actually impact like that. So the idea of writing a book is something that many, many people all over the world can get access to. Many people can learn the kinds of messages you want to share, the kinds of things you want people to know. And so from my perspective, this was the best route to go down. And again, I always was craving to find out information. I still learn as much as I can. But the book was one way to package it all into.
So you have written quite a number of books, with your latest being The Charismatic Age, as you can see on screen, that the book launches and so forth. So what does The Charismatic Age focus on? Of course, it's about charisma, but it goes more than that. It goes really deeper than that, right?
Sure. I think one of the things you said earlier about charisma is that there is an idea that charisma is about how you look, for example, and it's how you come across in that
externally,
way.
right?
It's external, and a lot of people have this idea. And for me, charisma is an inside-out phenomenon. In other words, it's something that you have to start on the very inside. Like, for example, when you see babies are charismatic. All babies are naturally born charismatic. You'll never get a boring baby. You'll never see a baby where you go, God, it's so boring.
Wait till you see them started to cry.
They still get attention, though. You know, they
Exactly.
still want to be around them,
Yeah.
and you don't want to hear them, but you want to be around them. The idea is that babies have that natural quality, and the problem is, as we grow older, we start becoming wary of what other people think of us. So what society thinks, what our friends think, what teachers think, and we start becoming aware of the fact we could get rejected. People could say no to us. We could be hurt by that. We could embarrass ourselves or look stupid. And the more we do that, the more we train in or we bring in all of our personality, and we start acting like everybody else. And that means we're less likely to be ourselves. And to me, charisma starts with being yourself more. The most charismatic people I've met have been the people who are themselves fully and completely. And then after that, then there's an art form to it. Your ability to persuade, your ability to win people over, to understand the psychology of using your personality to capture their attention, to command their attention, and to be able to help them to win them over, to entertain them, to engage them, to make them interested.
That's the next level. Now, you brought a very interesting point. And like you say, kids or babies, who they are, they're not afraid of what people think. They just say what they want to say.
Yeah.
They feel what they want to feel. But I think they call it due to conditioning or what society perceives as right and wrong. Like, don't do this, don't do that, don't say this, don't say that. So as we grow up, we start to rein in our, as you mentioned, our true selves. But
I like that guy, but I do not know whether is it okay for me to call him. Is it going to be that stupid?
speaking from experience, obviously.
Or,
Yeah, the woman shouldn't chase the guy. It's not right. It shows you're desperate. So it's all these kinds of ingrained perceptions out there, right?
And unfortunately, those ingrained perceptions have a significant impact upon how we act. And they actually mean that we actually lose a lot of our natural charisma, because, again, charisma is an impression you make in the mind of other people, but it's an impression of you. And so the problem with a lot of people is that they spend all their time trying to be this person. A lot of people think, oh, I want to be like them, I want to be as charismatic as them, so they try to be like them. But that makes them less charismatic. One of the things that make both of you charismatic is that you're yourselves. You can see that your personalities off camera and on camera are very similar.
Right.
And that's because you're allowing it out.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be the exact same person with everybody,
Yeah.
but it does mean that there's the same essence in you that you're expressing. It might be different. Hopefully you're different with your girlfriends and boyfriends
That's
as
right.
you are with your parents,
Sure.
in terms of the way you deal with them.
Sure.
Just like when you go to an interview, you might have to wear a suit, but necessarily you're still being yourself, and charisma is something that really radiates from people when they're allowed to express themselves. And after that, as you said, there's the art form. From what you guys understand, is that it's about learning the art of presenting, which is a real refined skill in and of itself. There's also comedians that have developed the skill of becoming funnier. It doesn't mean they don't have the natural quality. It means they do, but they've learned to master it. The ability of a salesperson to be able to engage and win over,
Right.
people to buy. Again, that's a skill, and it's about helping people. Part one, to express themselves, and part two, to be able to learn the art to magically do it in a powerful way.
I've always think that con men forever got charisma one.
Well, it's true, because they're so successful at convincing people,
It's not about the product,
that belief is there.
It's not a product that they
Yeah.
make you buy. It's about somehow rather they make you
The personality of the
believe.
person. As I say, the product is usually not the products which sells, it's the
It's the
person.
person.
The person which actually
And that's
makes
why
a difference.
And that's why it's so important. I mean, the fact that, as you said, some con men do tend to have charisma, that makes it so important that everyone else learns how to do it as well. A lot of people say, "Oh, charisma's for for con men or whatever." The fact is, charisma is something we all need, because if we can start to become more charismatic ourselves, if you can get great salespeople who are actually selling really great quality products to have more charisma, if you can get
Exactly.
the top leaders out there to be able to be more charismatic and inspire and influence, the top politicians to be
Well
more
said.
charismatic, the ones that have great morals and ethics and values, if you can help them to become more charismatic, you can actually make a huge difference to the world. And so for me, charisma is not about popularity. It's not about goodness or badness. It's just something that makes you stand out and grab attention more. And so if we can share that message and teach people how to be more charismatic, it can really transform, I think, the world.
I think people like you got the good looks plus the charisma
got hair some more.
package lah. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I'm going.
It gives
on your
a
perception.
totally bonus point to it, isn't it?
Absolutely, it does add to
How
it.
come you're still single?
Huh? We'll talk about that later, right after the commercial break. Anyway, very, very interesting topic which we just had right now in terms of charisma. Now, of course, we want to delve deeper into charisma, as well as a seminar which Owen will be having right here in KL. Well, of course, you would like to find out more information, you can email us at updates@capitaltv.my or tweet us at @thecapitaltv. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to find out a lot more with regards to using charisma as a business advantage.
Hi, I'm Owen Fitzpatrick, co-author of the book The Ultimate Introduction to NLP with Dr. Richard Banner and Alessio Roberti, and author of the book The Charismatic Edge. And I'm really, really excited because on the 18th and 19th of April in 2013, I'm going to be visiting Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia to share with you a very exciting seminar that I call Charisma as a Business Advantage. Now, in this 2-day seminar, I'm going to be sharing with you everything that I've picked up over the last few years in terms of how to apply the skills of NLP and the skills of psychology to being able to become a much more effective business person and salesperson. You know, in the current times that we live in, there's a lot of struggles out there with recession and with the economic crisis. And it's more important than ever that you have an advantage over your competitors. With globalization, you have more competitors than ever. So it's really vital that you know exactly how you can present and position yourself in the best possible way. Now, how do you do that? Well, I've been lucky enough for the last 15 or 20 years or so to be studying the technology of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And whether you're a newcomer or whether you're someone that has been in the field for quite a bit of time, what I want to do is share with you the simple but yet most effective patterns and principles of the most successful business people that I've ever worked with. Now, I've worked with some CEOs of top multi-international companies, and through all of the work that I've done with them, not only have I helped them to perform more effectively, but I've also learned a lot from them. And what I want to do in this 2-day seminar is teach you, well, how is charisma itself the key towards having a business advantage in the modern world?
Right, and you're back on Morning Bell. My name is Raj Arya together with Joanne Kwan, and you just seen a very short video introduction with regards to the seminar which Owen Fitzpatrick is going to have in KL. In fact, starting from tomorrow, it's a 2-day seminar, right, Owen?
It is, yeah. It's 2 days, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing quite a lot on how to use charisma in the business world. You know, a lot of people think of charisma in terms of politics, which is obviously very important. And, you know, that's a lot of the work that I've done is studying politicians and stuff. But there's a real great advantage to being more charismatic in terms of the business world, because at the moment there's obviously globalization, there's an awful lot more competition than's ever been before, and it's more important than ever to succeed. And wherever I've gone, it doesn't matter if it's in Thailand to you know, Colombia to Japan, it's all over the world. It's so important to be able to make sure that your brand stands out and that you stand out and that you grab attention. Leaders need it, sales executives need it, managers need it, anyone who's involved in working with people, which is pretty much all of us, needs to understand how to grab attention, how to keep attention, how to engage people more. And that's why I think the seminar itself is something which has become so popular. It's because so many people know that charisma is a great business advantage to have. Not that many people know that you can actually develop it.
Right, very interesting, because there's a perception out there with regards to charisma. You are born with it, like you say, you're born charismatic, and it's something you can't learn.
You can't be as funny as I am, lah.
Thank God, but yes.
I'm born with it.
What's your take on that?
Well, I obviously believe the opposite. I believe charisma is something that, I do believe we're born with it, but I believe all of us are born with it. I don't believe some people are born and other people aren't. Some people might be more naturally charismatic, like some people are more naturally skilled at football or golf. So, you know, you have people that are more naturally, you know, have more natural talents. But there's the research that's out there and all of the insights that we gained over the last few years from a psychological perspective have shared the idea that we can learn to improve the way in which we think, we can learn how we communicate, and we can become more charismatic. And to me, whether it's you know, working with someone to help them become better public speakers, or working with someone to be able to help them sell better, or working with someone who's be able to help them to become a more effective leader with their teams, all of it includes the idea that they already have a natural form of charisma, and it's about unlocking that and also teaching the art form to make sure that they communicate more effectively with people. Because you can make someone more entertaining, you can make someone more engaging by getting them, first of all, to let themselves overcome the fears that hold them back, and then by teaching them what makes an idea interesting, what makes an idea captivating, what allows them to be able to really connect with other people in a powerful way that moves the other people.
Can a person fake charisma? Like, hey, you know?
As you can see, she does that all the time.
Hey, yeah.
Don't get caught by that.
Can a person?
I don't believe so. I think when you can fake it for a little while, but there comes a point in time whereby when a person's like doing all the fake
People
stuff.
catch on.
Yeah, and you can read through, you know, you can read.
This was so
you know,
fake.
exactly, and I think there's certain, you know, even in your industry in terms of the media, you get certain people that are very sort of fake,
Superficial, right?
superficial, but they never last very long. Whereas people with a bit more tenure, with more experience, with, you know, who tend to get better responses, it's because you're being yourself.
Right.
It's because you're fully authentically expressing you, and that's something that you can't fake. That's why I believe it's inside out, because I could teach you the external skills, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be very charismatic. It just means that you might be okay short term. But charisma is a long-term phenomenon. It's something that, you know, emanates out through, and it's like, you know, when you build a brand, the brand isn't just up and down.
That's right.
When you build a brand
Consistent,
properly, you make it consistent. The same is true in terms of charisma. To me, charisma is something that works with regards to people and businesses, and it's part of the whole branding yourself phenomenon. And by branding yourself in a certain way, that's something that lasts a long time, which means it can't be faked.
Right.
And that's what I teach people, is that charisma is not about putting on a couple of extra smiles, or, you know, dressing
shaking a
the
lot of
right way.
Hey!
It's not. I mean, there's lots of really attractive people out there. There's lots of people that know all the right things to do. And
That's right.
Oh, I'm so happy.
But
deep down, there's something missing.
Right.
But when you meet truly charismatic people, and again, without praising you too much, like yourselves, it's because your true personalities come out, comes true.
Right.
You're real. You're yourselves.
That's right.
And that cannot be faked.
And that's all about congruency as well, right? From your inner being to your external being.
Completely. Congruency is a great word for it. That's exactly what it is. In order to communicate more effectively with people, you need to be congruent, because if you're saying one thing, I mean, sometimes in certain cultures, you have people who just smile, and like literally they could be, hello, very nice to meet you, and you could die in front of them, and oh, sorry you died, it's okay. Like it's the smile is not about you. It's just about, I'm going to plaster a smile on my face just because I'm supposed to, or just to make you think that I like you.
Right.
But when you truly, authentically smile, it creates a different kind of feeling. Like one of the things I got from the short time of being in Malaysia, and also some friends of mine that have visited, and some Malaysian friends I have, is that you're actually a really nice, the really nice people in Malaysia. You're known for being really warm people. This is known for being a wonderful country. Traveling here in the but you do have to do something with the traffic.
Oh yeah,
Crazy.
tell us about it, yes.
But besides that, I mean, you're such a beautiful country, you're such beautiful people, and again, some of the things, like similar to my own country, Ireland, which I adore, is that sometimes people aren't themselves because, again, they're trying so hard to
Fit in?
Fit in, exactly. And the more you allow yourself to be yourself, the more you're authentic and you really do express yourself properly. And to me, that's real charisma.
You know, you mentioned quite an important thing. Now, we're looking at it from a business context. Now, there are situations, once again, perception in the business world. Like, for example, you join a new company. You're all geared up. You're all motivated. You want to go in and do big things. And other people will see, here we comes a showboater, you know, trying to come in, trying to shake things up.
Who does he think he is?
Who does he think he is? You
Look
know,
at that awkward will.
you're trying to prove that, oh, you're some big shot, trying to come in and show you how great you are. So once again, you see some people, oh, I better not go in and do too much, because people might misconceive that I'm trying to show off or try to put the others down in comparison to you. What's your take on that?
I think that's a very valid concern that people have, because ultimately speaking, in order to make a real difference in terms of the business world, you need to get everyone on board, or you need to get most people on board, rather. Which means you have to a degree, unfortunately, play the political game. But you can do that with charisma. Charisma is not about showboating. It's not about standing out. Introverts can be just as charismatic as extroverts. It's not something that, you know, it's because you're, you know, extrovert, you're like, all that. It's a phenomenon that allows you to be able to make an impact on people. So, for example, if you go into a new company, the idea wouldn't be to showboat around and sort of show how smart you are, how great you are. Instead, it's going in, asking yourself the question, what is it that they're thinking? What is it that they need? What is it that
What do you want for lunch?
Exactly.
Hey, what do you want for lunch?
That's one definite approach.
Yeah. I mean, it has to have that
icebreaker.
You have to,
Absolutely. And but you're doing that because you're asking that, or because you're breaking the ice with people. You're demonstrating that you actually validate them. Like, one of the best things you can possibly do when you go in for an interview, or whenever you go into a new company, is every person you meet, ask yourself 3 questions. One is, what do I like about them? One is, how am I similar to them? And the third is, how can I make them feel good? And if you ask those 3 questions, it completely changes from what people normally do, which is, what do they think of me? or am I creating the right impression? As soon as you ask the questions about creating the right impression, you get yourself into a muddle because you start worrying about what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Whereas instead, if you look at a person, you go, what do I like about them?
Right.
Or what is it that's similar
right?
for them with me, or how can I make them feel good? Your attitude transforms your entire, and people think that's such a simple thing. It makes a huge difference because all parts of your body language are congruent with that. Everything you do, everything you say is much more authentic, and people like you more because you're connecting with them at that level. And so for me, just what you do inside your head can make a huge difference to what comes out of your mouth and towards, you know, how you communicate with your body language, all of that. So to me, it starts with what you say inside your head to yourself.
Actually, those are three very good questions.
Yeah.
Very good questions.
This is like really has to work with the psychological as well. I'm coming for your workshop. I'm coming for your workshop.
Which I don't know if you can deal with any more charisma.
She's like overflowing, you know, oozing out of every
I might be so afraid that all your people that was going there will just all stick to me.
That's it, and I won't get a word in.
Yeah, exactly.
I will just ask you to come on stage. You can
then he can take a break and just sit down and let you do your thing.
No problem. I'll just talk about plastic surgery. I'll talk about.
Now, interestingly enough, as you can see on screen right now, you have done a lot of seminars around the world. Is it the same in different countries, or there are certain, you know, cultural differences, you know, geographic differences?
I think there's definitely cultural differences, and I think one of the things that I'll be sharing a little bit about is about charisma in different contexts around the world. For example, in South America, delivering a seminar, the audience tends to be very different than the seminar, for example, in Europe versus Asia. One of the things I have learned, though, is that ultimately speaking, we all have the same problems, we all have the same sort of solutions. The difference is in how the problems apply to us. For example, in certain cultures, we're very scared of what other peers think.
Yes.
In other cultures, we're very scared of what authority figures think, so parents and stuff. So but they're all the same thing. It's afraid of looking bad or afraid of doing bad in the eyes of other people. And it's that obsession that leads us to be very self-conscious, and to the point where we hide our own true personalities, and whereby we prevent ourselves from actually being ourselves. When you learn to be more charismatic, where you learn in different countries, you learn it to handle the different kinds of challenges, but ultimately they still come down to worrying about other people's thoughts and trying to fit in and trying to do what we're supposed to do rather than expressing our own creative selves. So I think there is cultural differences for sure, but I think in every country I've worked in, charisma is something that is a huge business advantage, and technologies such as NLP can be a huge business advantages, again, when trained in the right way. So it's about learning how to use those skills to be able to make a real difference. And I honestly believe, in my experience in working with a lot of different companies, they can make a real impact to your bottom line very, very easily.
All right, excellent. Okay, Owen, hold that thought, because we're going to take a short commercial break right now. We also have a very special guest who will also be making an appearance in our next segment. So don't go away, as we will be doing a little short exercise with regards to charisma right after this. Hi everyone, and you're back on the Morning Bell, and I'm Raj Chara together with Joanne Kwan, together with Owen Fitzpatrick, who has been talking a fair bit with regards to charisma, and joining him is not an unfamiliar face. It is Carsten Ziebel, NLP trainer and Managing Director of Navigo NLP Center. Good to have you on the show again, Carsten.
Thank you very much for being here.
I remember you. Whenever I looked at you, I remember Linguini.
I'm so happy that you remember me.
So wrong, but
NLP, the first time
it's good that you see you learn a new thing every day on Morning Bell. So we hope all your audience, viewers out there also will share that same thought, that you can pick up a few interesting things here on the Morning Bell. Now, coming back to talking about charisma and all that, I believe that you have a simple exercise which you can do in terms of charisma.
Yeah, I think one of the things that typically people struggle with is how to feel comfortable and how to feel confident.
Right.
For example, when they give a presentation, or for example, when they're standing up in front of a group of people.
Sure.
So how do you go into an interview, for example, and how do you change the way you feel? How do you walk into a presentation and stand in front of an audience and feel comfortable? Well, a lot of people will, I suppose, spend a lot of time teaching you long-winded exercises. There's a few really simple tricks. One is to ask those questions I said earlier.
Right.
But there's one physical thing you can do that actually makes an impact. Now, just to give you a real brief explanation of this, there's a lady called Amy Cuddy, who's this researcher in Harvard. And one of the things she found out was the impact upon our physiology or our posture, on our emotions.
Right.
So chemically, there's a difference in terms of your brain whenever you change the way in which you're standing or sitting. And so what I want to do is I want everyone just to stand up.
Okay.
And what I want you to do is I just want you to literally put yourself into a pose which looks like you're on top of the world, like you're champion of the world. So it could be anything at all. It could be with your muscles out like Superman. Exactly. But I just want you to hold this just for a few seconds.
Okay.
And typically, you've done this before, haven't you?
That's it all the time.
Typically what happens is that when you stand like this for about 2 or 3 minutes, we're not going to do it for 2 or 3 minutes, but even for a few seconds, when you stand like this, in this power pose, then immediately your brain releases more testosterone, and it makes you feel naturally much more powerful, much stronger than you would do in another context.
Owen, I don't need testosterone.
But in terms of strength, in terms of confidence, that's one of the correlations. Now, at the same time, if you curl yourself up into a different place and you're like this for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I'm so scared.
Exactly, that releases cortisol, which is a stress hormone, which makes you feel it. So next time you're going in front of a presentation, the first thing you should be doing, even if you go to the bathroom and do it, get yourself, stand in a way that you
And
look
put
on
on
top of the world.
the iPod and then start playing the Eye of the Tiger.
Yes, exactly.
Does that work?
Absolutely, it does.
Really?
I mean, if you think about it, most of the most successful sports people, for example, I've worked with or Karsten's worked with, they do this all the time. When we teach NLP to people, we're not just teaching them stuff that they've never heard of before. We're teaching them to do what they do when they're at their absolute best. So you take a sports person, you don't just teach them new techniques. You help them figure out what frame of mind are they in when they're at their best. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What are they doing? And once you figure that out, which you're able to do using the technology, then you teach them how to replicate that on purpose. And that can be in business, that can be as a leader, that can be as a communicator, that can be as a presenter. It has applications everywhere. But the key is there's a few small subtle tricks or tips that allow you to make a real difference.
So, Karsten, very quickly, for example, NLP actually plays a very big role with regards to charisma, right?
Yes.
In terms of being able to bring it out in a person. What's your thoughts on that?
Because with NLP, we have the ability to unlock basically the charisma that is in everybody of us, the fear of failure.
It's all there, right?
Exactly, it's all there.
All in us,
so what holds us back is the fear of failure, the fear of embarrassment,
rejection,
and rejection. And how do people do it in their mind? Basically, how do you create the things that you feel fear or that you are feeling embarrassed? And this is where NLP comes in and shows people already how to change this one. How do you need to change your mind to not feel embarrassed, to feel basically positive and strong about the things that you're going to do.
Right. Now, very interesting what Owen did just now. I always had the impression that it's the mind which dictates the body, but in this case, the body actually influences the mind. So
that's what we are saying in NLP, mind and body are one. So the thoughts you're holding in your mind, the pictures you're holding in your mind are influencing how your body reacts. But also vice versa. If you have a posture that feels strong and motivating, then it influences also your mind, the thoughts you're having, and so on. So it's a synergy that is being built there.
Right.
And NLP helps to understand how this one can be used, actually, utilized.
Now, coming back to the seminar, we're almost running out of time. Charisma as a business advantage. It's for 2 days, starting from tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow onwards, exactly. Tomorrow we have a few seats left, so if people are interested, join us to learn how to be charismatic, to learn from Owen how to use charisma as a business advantage, to learn how to unlock this potential that is in everybody of us.
That's right.
So 18, 19 of April, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, at the Best Western Hotel, Best Western Premier.
We can see all the details here on screen right now. And of course, who should be the ones coming for this kind of seminars?
Anyone who's interested in becoming a more effective leader, anyone who wants to be a better salesperson, anyone who wants to be able to work with the other people on their team more effectively, anyone who wants to navigate the business world in such a way that they can get results, that they can connect with people, they can build rapport with customers or clients or people that they work with. Basically, anyone who wants to stand out and literally unlock their potential so they start to be themselves in a more powerful way. Anyone and everyone that, again, come to these kind of courses are people that are interested in being more successful and improving the way in which they do things.
And the best part about it, you can also use it in your personal lives as well. Family, friends, you know, that kind of thing.
The one that who doesn't really know how to the person that who doesn't have much of a how to express themselves.
Connecting with people.
Absolutely.
We'll come for the second day because TV presenter already got charisma.
You're naturally.
Advanced already, advanced level already,
I would
right?
obviously love to see you both at any part of the workshop.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
find a way. I'll find a way to get there.
Exactly. You're
One
right.
last thing,
Yeah.
obviously courses like this, seminars like this are very rare. There should be more, how do you say, scope that this kind of thing should be held more often, right? What do you think,
Exactly.
Carson?
So we can have more of this course. We are doing more of these courses with our training center. We are offering this courses where people can learn things like charisma, how to have personal mastery to be a better leader. All of this will be integrating the techniques of NLP into the program.
All right, fantastic. Okay, you can check out this website to find out more information with regards to the seminar being held tomorrow as well as in the future. And we will hope to see more. Yep, that's right, on screen right now. You can check out your website and then we can see where else we can take this forward here in Malaysia.
I
Right.
don't think I'm going to be shy anymore.
Is that even remotely possible? All right, that's all the time we have for on Morning Bell today. So we hope to see you same place, same time as usual. We have all kinds of fantastic guests here on the Morning Bell. Take care and bye-bye.